In front of the War Council, Crow Tenor Grim stood, wrinkles etched deep against his worn face, his uniform's metals glittering in the dim room light. The atmosphere was charged with excitement, and the shimmering buzz of interstellar maps pulsed behind the prestigious leaders. Crow's voice echoed across the room. I have stepped on resonant soil, experienced 50 engagements on the front lines, and I can tell you now, do not undervalue Earth. General Vor, clad in formal armor laced with mocking artwork, let out a scoff. Younger officers smirked, their eyes reflecting disbelief. A primitive planet, Vor sneered. Technological advancements centuries behind. This will be a swift victory. Crow's gaze hardened. It's not the technology you should fear, it's their resourcefulness, their survival instinct. I've seen it firsthand, how their soldiers adapt, how they turn their own weaknesses into cutting traps. They fight like nothing you've ever faced. Vor dismissed him with a wave. We begin the invasion immediately, no more legacy wounded warnings. As murmurs rippled through the council chamber, Kra, an advisor, felt a chill run down his spine. He knew the price of arrogance in war. Crow stepped back. He knew this war would be unlike any before. Cut to Earth, Captain Emily Stone adjusted her combat vest, her gaze scanning the rugged terrain. The sky shimmered orange and blue, a beautiful tapestry, now a prelude to war. Her comm crackled. Captain, came the voice of a scout. Imperial fleet approaching. Lieutenant Marks added, tight-voiced. They'll be in range within the hour. Emily's voice was calm, steady. This isn't like the drills, hit, run, and vanish, stick to your plans. The ground trembled, hostile vessels breached the atmosphere. Emily's squad, outnumbered and outgunned, readied their homemade weapons, but Emily knew this terrain. Every trail, every shadow, every secret cave her ancestors used during past wars. From her vantage point, she watched. Wait for it, she whispered. Her finger hovered, then pressed the detonator. A massive explosion shattered the quiet. Alien ranks were ripped apart. Chaos, her squad unleashed a hailstorm from hidden positions. The stunned Imperials tried to regroup. Too late, Emily's team melted back into the forest. Ghosts. At the Imperial base, General Voer slammed a fist against the table. This is unacceptable. Kra entered cautiously. The primitives are using terrain to their advantage. We can't deploy our heavy weapons in dense forest. General Vor snarled, then we adapt. Brute force, no survivors, understood. Akura nodded reluctantly. The road ahead was clear and deadly. That night, Emily's squad gathered in an abandoned farmhouse. Tension filled the air. They'll come back stronger, Emily said, eyes scanning her exhausted team. We move. Sergeant Marks rigged the northern ridge by morning, Sergeant Hawk supplied. We've got hidden caches. We'll survive. This is our home, better than they'll ever know, Emily whispered. Zelsewhere Cross stared at maps in his quarters. The Empire's obsession with conquest was spiraling, and he knew it had to stop. He made his decision. He opened a secure communicator. This is Crow Tenor, Battle Captain. I think we have a lot to talk about. Emily's voice came through, tired, wary. I'm listening, but if this is a trick, you'll die. I know the risk, Crow said, but my goal is to stop further bloodshed. And with that, the traitor of the Empire became the lifeline of Earth. The next few weeks saw a shift. Using Crow's intel, Emily's forces launched precision attacks, ambushes, traps, raids. The Imperials never knew what hit them. Each move anticipated, each weakness exploited. In the high command, Ver raged, there's a leak, find me the traitor. But it was too late. Crow knew he was on borrowed time. Every report he sent, every success brought suspicion. He walked a razor's edge. Emily's trust in him deepened. Her advisor warned her he's still one of them. I know, she said, but he's saving lives. And with his latest message, a final act of betrayal, Crow provided the coordinates of an Imperial convoy. Critical, vulnerable, Emily's team struck fast. A small pass perfect for ambush, explosives detonated, supply lines shredded, fires consumed the valley, the Empire's forward campaign halted. The galaxy felt the shock wave. Back at Imperial HQ, Ver's authority collapsed. Accusations, calls for dismissal, scandal. In the shadows, Crow prepared for his last move. Emily's team readied their boldest trap, the final strike. Drawing the Imperials into a valley laced with explosives, she addressed her squad. "This is our chance. We change the tide. One shot, one trap." The Imperials advanced unaware. The ground beneath them was primed. At the perfect moment, Emily triggered the detonation. The valley erupted, fire, smoke, screams. What remained of the once proud Imperial force was scattered and broken. And in that chaos, Crow Tenor's name would be erased from Imperial records. But on Earth, he would be remembered not as a traitor, but as the man who saw the truth and chose to act. These weapons were used as a last option, indicating both a state of desperation and a disregard for the unintended consequences. The planet Kra was aware that he couldn't permit it to move forward. His subsequent actions would not only decide Earth's destiny but also expose his deceit. He needed a strategy, and fast. Back on Earth, the people rejoiced in their hard-earned victory, unaware of the bigger threat hovering above. Emily, reviewing the aftermath with her lieutenants, remained careful and vigilant. "They will return to us with everything they have," she cautioned. The Empire activated its satellite platforms, preparing for a major attack. Crow, in a last-ditch effort, reached out to Emily one final time. "The circumstances have gotten worse," he warned, his voice tense over the secure line. "They're preparing to attack. Omega is in orbit. Protocol dictates you must go now." Emily's voice was heartbreaking but composed. She understood and was sincerely grateful as Earth's authorities rushed to evacuate and disperse. Kra, in his most audacious move yet, still had access to the orbiting control system platforms. He initiated a false aiming coordinate sequence, rerouting the Empire's attacks to the uninhabitable regions of Earth. Alarms flashed across the Imperial Command Center. "Why did the orbital platforms malfunction?" someone shouted. Panic crept into the room. Crow's figure stood tall, his voice unwavering in the face of turmoil. "Have you been vanquished, General?" he asked. "Not by force, but by your own conceit." The security personnel stormed the command center. Crow was arrested. His look was one of relief, not dread. Despite his opposition, the orbital strikes launched. They struck abandoned zones, only no casualties. Earth's evacuation forces watched from a safe distance. Emily, observing the distant explosions, felt a mixture of triumph and sorrow. They had been spared thanks to Crow's sacrifice, but at significant personal cost. As the Empire reeled from the disgrace and the shock of their foiled genocide, Earth took the opportunity to reinforce its defenses. Crow was imprisoned. The long road to peace had begun. Ironically, his own people came to see him as a symbol, the one who had the bravery to oppose tyranny. Among those who dared to stand against chaos, Crow's name began to take on the weight of legend. The galactic debate over the failed orbital strikes echoed across political chambers. The Empire was now in crisis. General Vor, once a mighty force, stood humbled. The galaxy now regarded his name with fear and resentment. He was summoned before the Galactic Senate and faced the Emperor's disappointment. Vor was demanded to explain the failures and the unauthorized launch of the Omega Protocol. The icy chamber of the Senate held the most powerful faces of the galaxy. All eyes turned to him. "General Vor," the Emperor's voice boomed, "you've brought this empire to its knees with your reckless ambition. How do you explain such catastrophic failure against a supposedly weaker foe?" Vor, once full of pride, now showed a flicker of doubt. "The actions I took were in the best interest of the Empire," he claimed. "Earth's resistance was far greater than we predicted. The Omega Protocol was our only option to ensure victory." The Emperor leaned forward, eyes narrowed. "And yet it failed. You now suggest sabotage from within." Before Vor could respond, the chamber doors opened. A group of military leaders entered with Crow. Though disheveled, Crow stood tall, unbroken. This is the traitor, one official spat, but the emperor raised his hand. Crow met the council's gaze. I did what was necessary to stop a genocide, he said, his voice echoing. According to the general's plan, Earth was to be turned into a wasteland. The chamber fell silent. Whispers filled the air. Was this fallen warrior telling the truth or betraying a once trusted general? The emperor looked out over the crowd. Your campaign has failed, Vor. Your reputation is stained. What defense do you have against accusations of tyranny? Vor turned desperation in his eyes, calling Crow a traitor. My emperor, his betrayal reveals more of his character than mine. But Crow remained calm. Ask yourself, why would I betray my own command unless our entire war plan was flawed from the beginning? The senators erupted, some in fury, others in deep thought. Crow's words had sparked a divide. He defended Earth's right to exist, and while the Empire reeled in confusion, Earth rebuilt. Emily stood near the newly constructed memorial, a testament to those who had fallen and those who had dared to stand for what was right.